You're just bought into another dimension. A dimension not only of bad beats and busted draws, but of decisions so bizarre they defy logic. You've crossed into a land where min raises spell doom, and a four-way all-in with queen high makes perfect sense. You've stepped out of reality and into the absurd, the unpredictable, the unexplainable. You've just pulled up a seat to the low-stakes zone.
What's going on, everybody? Heading up to Franklin, Kentucky again, going to the barrel here on Monday, May 12th, 2025. Point of emphasis remains the same. Find the fold when they tell me they've got me beat. It's a really simple game. I'm going to keep it simple. Let's see if we can capitalize and continue the momentum from our very good trip in Cherokee last week. It's the first time I've had a chance to sit down at the table since I got home last weekend. Looking forward to getting back into it, mixing it up, and hopefully I can get in 6 or 8 hours and, maybe we can win $1,000. We'll see what happens. So optimism is high, but let's see me again in 8 hours and we'll see how it goes. Let's go ahead and get up in there.
I walk in the door at 6:30 and we got a table going right away. The very first hand I get the button and I look down at a couple of aces. There's one limper ahead of me and I bump it up to $15 and everybody quickly folds. It's kind of a good news, bad news thing. I always enjoy winning a pot, but the first 10 to 15 minutes of any new game, everybody plays tight. It takes them a few minutes to get into their normal reckless style. If I would have picked up this hand a half hour later, I probably would have gotten lots of action. But starting off the game with a small win and pocket aces might be a good sign for things to come tonight.
We're off to a good start, so that's all you can ask for.
About a half hour later, we're playing our first double board bomb pot of the night. I'm in the big blind position with Queen, Jack, 9, 7, double suited in diamonds and hearts. It's a nice little rundown hand. It has a lot of potential, so hopefully I can hook up on some flops. The top board comes down King, King, 8 with 2 diamonds, and the bottom board is 10, 9, 8 with 2 spades. So I flop the nut straight on the bottom and a diamond draw on a paired board up top. One of my golden rules for bomb pots is flopping the nut straight on one board is a good way to go broke. I'm hopeful I can avoid that situation, but I have to be aware of it going in. I check and the low jack bets out $15. He gets called by the hijack, the button, and myself, so we're going to go 4 ways to a turn. If I can dodge some bad cards on the turn, I might be able to get a little more aggressive with this board. The top turn is the 4 of spades, not really changing anything there. The bottom board is the 9 of hearts, giving me trips along with my nut straight. I have potential, or I could be drawing dead. I check again, and the low jack continues for $40, before the hijack caps the pot with a $180 bet. The button quickly gets out of the way, and this is where I probably should have just gotten away from the hand. I have the nut straight on one board, a diamond draw on the other board, and both boards are already paired. I could be drawing dead and happily shoveling money into the pot. In the moment, I call $180, as does the low jack, and we're going to see a couple of rivers. The top board is the jack of diamonds, giving me a nice diamond flush, so I could have a chance there. The bottom board is the 3 of hearts, which is pretty much a brick right there. I'm hopeful my straight can hold up. The low jack turns over King, Queen, 10, 4 for a full house on the top board, and the hijack shows King, 9, 5, 3 for a full house on the bottom board. Drawing dead and getting there. I guess my rule of flopping the nut straight on one board is a good way to go broken bomb pots continues to carry water, and I should probably learn to listen to it. I've been playing for a little over an hour and I'm already down $290, but I'm hopeful still that I can dig out of this hole. In this hand I'm in the hijack and I look down at 8-7 suited. I open it up to $12 and the button gives me a call before the small blind raises it up to $30. This lady is very tight and straightforward. I've never seen her bluff, and I figure this gives her a range of about queens plus. 8-7 suited is a good hand to go after a hand like this, but I do have to keep in mind that she is at the very top of her range, and she's never, ever bluffing here. Flop comes down 8-5-5 rainbow, so I do have a pair and a backdoor straight draw. I'm still losing to queens plus, and on a paired board, I really don't have a lot of outs to hit on the turn that'll give me immediate equity against her. I'm really just drawing to hitting my 8. A 7 is no good, obviously. I could pick up some backdoor stuff, but I have a feeling this will get expensive if I continue to chase. She continues for $40, reassuring me that she does in fact have a big overpair. I throw in the $40 call, as does the button, and we're going to go see a turn 3 ways. The turn is the ace of hearts, and I feel like this is actually a good card for me. If she's sitting there with kings or queens, she might not like that card, and it also gives me a backdoor flush draw along with my pair of 8s. There's a lot of ways I can win this hand going to the river. She continues for $50, and this should have been the red flag right here. I've played with her before, and if she had kings or queens right here, she would definitely check being scared of the ace. As played, I think that since I'm so smart, I can just outplay her and force her off of a hand.
I am the smart. I am the smart.
I jam all in, the button gets out of the way, and she snap calls for her last 118. I ask her if she wants to run it once or twice, so maybe I can hit my flush draw, and she tells me she's already got a full house, so I'm drawing dead. Turn is the 10 of hearts just to give me insult to injury and making my flush. She shows 2 black aces for aces full of 5s, and I lose $188 on this pot, and I am continuing to move in the wrong direction due to fancy play syndrome. Half hour later, and it's time for another bomb pot. This time I'm in the hijack position, and I look down at the queen 7-3 deuce with a couple of low hearts. The first flop comes down ace 6-3 2 hearts, and the second one is queen 7-4 with 2 clubs. So I've got a nonsensical flush draw and some backdoor straight draws on the top, really nothing to get too excited about. And on the bottom board I do have top 2 pair on a flushing board. Everybody checks, so nobody really seems to have much of anything right now, and we're going to go to the turn still 8-handed. The top turn is the 5 of diamonds, and the bottom one is the 7 of clubs. Still nothing too exciting happening for me up top, but the bottom board gives me the second nut full house. The only hand I'm really losing to is pocket queens. I have a queen in my hand, and nobody bet out on the flop, so I'm thinking I might have the best hand right here. When you have a really strong hand on just one board of a bomb pot, you have 2 ways to go about it. You can either try to play it passively so you get at least 2 other callers and you can split one person's money, or you can try to blast everybody out of the pot and scoop the whole thing. With the $200 cap that the barrel has in place, it's really hard to blast everyone off a pot because their losses are limited. I decided to go for the passive track and try to trap in a third player's money. The middle position player leads out for $40 as a pot-sized bet, and I just call the 40, hoping to get a third customer into the pot. Cutoff and button get out of the way, but under the gun does call, so hopefully I can chop somebody's money here. The top river is the 6 of clubs, giving me absolutely nothing up there. The bottom river is the king of diamonds. I still am looking at 7s full of queens, but I like my chances on this board. The middle position player throws out a cap bet of $155. Nothing I can do here but call and hope a third person gets in the middle. Under the gun throws in the call as well, and we all turn our cards on their backs. The under the gun player flopped top set of aces and rivered a boat and was just in check call mode the whole time, so maybe he was playing the same strategy as me. I don't know for sure. I show my boat on the bottom board and I think I'm good, but the middle position player finds a king to go along with his 7 and he hit me for a bigger full house.
What? You didn't see that coming?
And I lose $200 on another bomb pot. Between the bad play and the bad cards, this is not turning out to be my night. The only thing that can make a losing session even worse is being card dead for a couple of hours in the middle of it. Over the next 2 hours, I had not picked up hardly any playable hands, maybe 1 or 2, and I really didn't get involved in any pots. I always say that card dead is cheaper than bad beat, but it's also not a way to make back your money. It had been nearly 2 hours since I played my last notable hand when I finally pick up something in this bomb pot. I'm in the under the gun position with ace king 6-5 double suited. This is a really good hand in Omaha, and I think it has a lot of potential in a bomb pot as well. The first flop comes down queen queen 5, and the second one is ace 4-3 with a couple of diamonds. So the top board gives me 2 pair that I really am not too excited about, but the bottom board gives me an ace and the nut flush draw, so I've got a lot of potential there. The hijack bets out for $30. I don't see any other options for me here except to call, so I throw in the 30, as does the middle position and the low jack. We've cut the field in half. We're going 4 ways to a couple of turns. The top turn is the 9 of hearts, so I've pretty much given up any hope of catching anything there. But the bottom turn is the beautiful 7 of diamonds, giving me the nut flush. Maybe I can actually take down half of a bomb pot here. I check again, as does the middle position player.
Don't make me beg here.
I'd like to try my strategy of playing it passively and getting a multi-way pot because I really only have claim to half the board here. The low jack throws in a cap-sized bet of $160. The hijack calls, so I have my 3-way action. When I have the nuts on one board, hopefully we can chop up one person's money. I throw in the 160 as well, and the middle position player folds. 3 ways to a couple of rivers. Jack of hearts up top is a nothing card for me, and the 5 of diamonds on the bottom does not pair the board and ensures that I still have the nuts. Cards go on their backs. The low jack shows a queen 8-7-4 for trips on the top board, and the hijack shows ace ace queen 8 for trips with a better kicker, as well as a set of aces on the bottom, so I was dodging a board pair on the bottom board. Thankfully I'm able to get half the pot and pick up a few dollars and moving back in the right direction. If I could just pick up some hands and have them hold up, I might be able to dig myself out of this hole yet. It's always frustrating when you get down early in a session and you have to spend all night just trying to get back to even, but that's where I'm at right now, and we're just going to have to try. I've now lost back everything that I won on that last bomb pot a little while ago, and I'm down in the hole almost $700. I'm in the low jack and I look down at a couple of queens. Maybe I can do something with these cards. I open at $12 and the hijack calls behind me before the button raises it up to $60. He's a young aggressive guy trying to make his way playing poker. I feel like he has a bit of a wider range than most of the people in the 1-3 game. He could definitely be in there with an ace-king or ace-queen type of hand. It's definitely not just kings plus like some people who 3-bet. I'm out of position and I'm really in no mood to mess around, so I just rip my whole stack in for $334. The hijack quickly realizes that he's not invited to this party and he throws his cards away, and the button snap calls me. I figure I just ran into aces or kings again. He asked me if I have aces, and this makes me think that he has kings, so I'm probably crushed again. I turn my cards over and he actually shows me the ace-king of hearts, so we're off to a fair fight. Since he had asked me if I had aces, I didn't have a chance to ask him if he wanted to run it once or twice, so we're just going to live or die by one run out. 10-4-3 with a couple of diamonds on the flop looks good so far. As the 5 of spades rolls off, he asks me, "Please don't stack me, bro." It's kind of out of my control at this point, and the queen of clubs on the end seals his fate, and I win $350. That cuts my deficit in half, and maybe, just maybe, there's still a chance I can pull myself out of this hole. It's almost midnight and I've been playing snug, just trying to dig myself out of this hole. I'm in the cutoff and I look down at pocket rockets. Time to make some more money. Hopefully. Or get unlucky and go home broke. Under the gun +1 limps in for $3 before the middle position player calls, and the low jack raises to $12. This is one of the best things ever for me, because if I just made it $15, I would get called in multiple spots and really have to navigate a minefield. But being able to put in the 3-bet, I can really limit the field and give myself a much better chance to win a nice pot. I 3-bet to $55, the limpers fold and the low jack calls, and we're going to go see a flop. 10-8 deuce with a couple of spades looks safe enough. If I run into a set, I run into a set, but I feel like I've got the best hand here. The low jack checks to me and I want to bet small to keep in his draws and possibly let him float with some overcards that are still way behind my aces. I bet out for $40 and he thinks for a little bit before check raising all in for $134. It's never a bluff here, but I do have aces. There's a chance he could be value owning himself with an ace-10 type hand or even a pocket pair under my aces. I flick in the easy call and we decide to run the board out twice. I tell him I have aces and he shows jacks. First run out is a queen and a 10, so no help for him there. Second run out is a king and a 3, so justice prevails and my aces hold up. I now can see some light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully, it's not an oncoming train. Only down $200 and we're playing 6-handed. I'm in the low jack and I look down to the queen 9 of hearts. This is a speculative hand at best, but playing short-handed I have to mix it up and can't always wait for the premiums. I raise it up to $12 and get called by the button and the big blind, and we're going to a flop 3 ways. Queen 9-8 rainbow is one of the best flops I could hope for. It is kind of draw heavy with lots of straights possibilities out there, so I'm not going to slow play. The big blind checks to me and I bet $20. I probably could have even gone a little bit bigger considering how draw heavy this board is. The button calls me and the big blind gets out of the way and we're heads up. 5 of spades on the turn brings in one straight draw if he has 6-7, but I am probably ahead of a lot of his range. I should have probably continued to bet here, but I decided to try to slow play and get a little trappy in case he has a queen-king sort of hand. I check and he checks behind. The river 8 of diamonds I feel is pretty inconsequential. No more new straight draws come in and the backdoor spades break out. I bet out $45. He thinks for a little bit and then very casually, like he just doesn't care, tosses in a raise to $120. I think for a while and completely ignore my main point of focus for this month, and that is not calling bets when I know they're not bluffing. I talk myself into the fact that he just has king-queen and is maybe getting out of line with a busted draw or something along those lines. I donate the extra $75, actually saying nice hand as I call. He shows me the 8-7 of clubs for river trips and I take a step backwards. Every time I think this one time they're bluffing and I might be able to catch them, they're not. They just don't bluff. Eventually I'm going to burn my hand on this stove often enough that I'm going to stop reaching for it. About an orbit later and the cutoff opens to $9 and the button calls. I look down at the ace-jack of diamonds and I think this is a good spot to squeeze. I make it $45, really trying to apply pressure to the two people that had already put money in the pot, as well as pushing out the big blind. Apparently the big blind didn't get the memo and he cold calls the $45. This immediately sets me on alert. Normally when somebody cold calls like this, it's a middling pocket pair that's just trying to do a little set mining. The original opener folds, but the button double flats, so we're going 3 ways to a flop. Queen 7-7 rainbow comes down. Although this is a complete whiff for my hand, I feel like this is a good flop to continue to barrel on. I can't credibly represent the 7, but I can credibly represent big pocket pairs, including the queens, aces, kings, maybe even jacks. There's no draws out there for people to hang on with, and if the big blind is in there with a middling pocket pair like 8s through 10s, he really can't continue very much either. I don't expect anybody's in there with a 7, so it's pretty much a queen or nothing. I continue for $40, which is a smaller size bet in relation to the pot, but I feel like it should get the job done most of the time. The big blind calls and the button folds. When the big blind calls, that tells me he's probably still just got the middling pocket pair. We've got a lot of history together and he knows I'm capable of barreling with air here, so he might be hanging on with his 8s or 9s or 10s for one more street to see if I continue applying the pressure. As long as another non-Broadway card comes off on the turn, I should be able to barrel him off. The turn is a perfect card to continue the aggression. When the 4 of clubs hits, I figure there's no way this hit him unless there's a small chance he hung on with pocket 4s, but I really don't think he would continue the flop with a pocket pair that small. I continue telling my story, again looking like I'm trying to milk somebody that has ace-queen by betting $80. Again he calls, and I got the sinking feeling that maybe he's in there with an ace-king or a king-queen suited kind of hand. But I'm also getting more and more stubborn. This guy is a good player, and he really doesn't make a lot of light calls when the bets go in heavily. The river is the 10 of spades, and I really only have one move here if I want any chance to win this pot, and that's to go all in. I jam, and he tanks for quite a while. I'm thinking there's a chance I can get this through until he starts saying that he apologizes for nit rolling me. That tells me he's never folding. He throws in the call and shows me the 9-7 of hearts.
What the fuck is that? What is that private pile?
Which I was completely shocked by. Cold calling a 3-bet from the big blind with a suited 1-gapper is not a play that I would expect this person to make. I guess he outplayed me because I was not able to put that in his range. I make a note of this that he's a little looser from the blinds than I initially thought. I double him up and now I'm down again over $700, and I think at this time of night there's no chance I'm going to be able to get it back. 2 hands later and we're in the cutoff with the queen jack of diamonds. We're still playing 6-handed and I'm not giving up yet, although I can feel my blood is boiling after that last hand. There's a low jack straddle on for $6 and I raise it up to 25 bucks. The button to my left calls for 25, as does the straddler, and we're going to see a flop 3 ways. Flop comes down king, queen, jack, rainbow, so I have bottom 2 pair on a very dynamic board. The low jack checks, and I bet $35, trying to get a little bit of protection for my hand. The button raises to $225. Compare this to the last hand where he flopped trips against me and he just called. It seems like when he has a value hand, he slow plays a little bit, so I'm thinking he has some sort of draw here. Maybe a 10, maybe some sort of flush draw, but I think my 2 pair is good against him. Before I can finish formulating all of these thoughts, the low jack check raises for his entire stack. If this was just against me and my short stack, this would not be that alarming, but the button to my left has over $900 on his stack, so this is a sizable and meaningful all-in. I know I'm probably beat at this point if I'm going to be perfectly honest with myself, but I've been getting my teeth kicked in all night, I've been playing bad and running worse, and this is probably the only chance I'm going to have to get anywhere close to even. I'm willing to get lucky for my last $210, so I tossed in my money. Surprisingly, the button calls, so maybe he had some sort of value hand as well. Since we're in a 3-way all-in, we're only allowed to run it once, so our fate is going to be tied to the cards. Just where I want to be for my last $210. The turn and river run pure as the 8 and deuce of hearts run out. Everybody turns their cards up and the low jack has king jack for 2 pair, and the button to my left has the ace 4 of spades for the nut flush draw and a gut shot. And I'm drawing to 2 outs. And the low jack wins what he later says is the biggest pot he's ever won, a little over $2,000. I wish I could say I was happy for him, but I really wish it was me instead. Although the way I've played tonight, I probably don't deserve it. It's nearly 1:30 in the morning, and I am done. I'm going to walk out the door a $1,000 loser tonight. That's it for this one, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It certainly wasn't all that enjoyable going through it, but I feel like making these vlogs for me it's almost like a little bit of Monday morning quarterback. I get to go back and look at the video the day after or a couple days after when my head's screwed on straight and there's not as much emotion involved, and I can definitely see where I've made mistakes, where I can learn to improve from that. I've said for years that I don't really tilt, and I think I have video evidence now that that's not exactly the truth. So something to work on there, removing emotion from the game, keeping my head screwed on straight, and just accepting things for what they are instead of what I want them to be. That hand where I ran into the 9-7 of hearts at the end, I was just trying to enforce my will when I knew it wasn't going to happen after the turn. I should have just shut it down and given the pot. I could have had a nice stack still and possibly rebuilt from there, but after that I was on tilt, picked up 2 pair a couple hands later and melted off the rest of my stack, and that was that. A little bit of an announcement. I am going to be out in Vegas next month for the World Series of Poker. Going to be out there from the 12th to the 20th, so if you're in town, hit me up. I'm going to be firing in the Monster and also the Salute to Warriors, Salute to Veterans, $500 shit show tournament somewhere along the way there. Going to be firing in both of those. We'll see how I do. Maybe I can bring home a few extra bucks and just playing cash the rest of the time while I'm out there. So if you're in Vegas second week of June, hit me up. Maybe we can play some cash and get some overpriced food somewhere. Until then, if you guys liked the video, be sure to like the video. I would certainly appreciate it. It would help out the channel a ton. And we will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.